I should have known something was wrong when Rachel started smiling at her phone. My wife had never been the type to giggle at texts. For 12 years of marriage, she'd been practical, straightforward, almost businesslike with her messages. But 3 months ago, that changed. Suddenly, she was lighting up like a teenager, fingers flying across the screen. That little smirk playing at the corners of her mouth. "Work stuff," she'd say whenever I glanced over. Just Jenny being dramatic about the new client. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Jenny, her supposed best friend from the marketing firm where Rachel worked as a senior account manager. I'd met Jenny exactly twice in 5 years. Once at a company holiday party, and once when she dropped off some documents. She seemed nice enough, but I never got the impression they were particularly close. Still, I didn't question it. Why would I? Rachel and I had built what I thought was a solid marriage. We had our comfortable routine in our 3-bedroom house in Riverside Heights. I worked as a mechanical engineer at Thornton Industries. She managed marketing campaigns. And we spent weekends hiking, trying new restaurants, or just binge-watching shows on the couch. We weren't passionate anymore, sure. The spark had dimmed to a comfortable warmth. But I thought that was normal. I thought we were happy. The first real warning sign came on a Thursday evening in late September. I'd come home early from work. Rare for me. But we'd finished a major project ahead of schedule, and my boss actually told us to take off. I walked through the door at 4:30 instead of my usual 6:15, groceries in hand, planning to surprise Rachel with her favorite pasta dish. The house was empty. That wasn't unusual. Rachel often worked late. But when I checked my phone, I saw a text from 2 hours earlier. "Staying late at the office tonight. Don't wait up for dinner. Love you." I shrugged it off and started cooking anyway. Maybe she'd come home hungry. By 8 o'clock I was worried. By 9 I called her. "Hey babe," she answered, and I could hear traffic in the background. "What's up?" "Just checking in. You said you were working late?" "Yeah, we're just wrapping up now." "This campaign is killing us." She sounded tired, stressed. "I'll be home in 20. Okay, drive safe." She walked through the door 45 minutes later, looking exhausted. Her blazer was wrinkled, her hair slightly messed up, and there was something in her expression I couldn't quite read. Relief? Guilt? "Rough day?" I asked, wrapping her in a hug. "You have no idea." She pulled back and headed straight for the stairs. "I need a shower. I feel disgusted." I watched her go, that uneasy feeling settling in my stomach. Something felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint what. The incidents started piling up after that. 2 weeks later, she told me she was going to a work conference in Chicago for the weekend. I helped her pack, drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye. But that Sunday night when I picked her up, she seemed different, jumpy. She kept checking her phone during the drive home, and when I asked about the conference, her answers were vague. It was fine. Boring presentations, typical networking stuff. "Did you get to see any of the city?" "Not really. We were pretty busy. When I asked to see photos, she said she'd barely taken any." Rachel, who documented everything from coffee cups to sunsets on Instagram, had apparently spent an entire weekend in Chicago without a single picture. I started paying attention after that, really paying attention. The phone that used to sit casually on the kitchen counter was now always in her pocket or purse. She'd changed her passcode, something she'd never done in our entire marriage. We'd always had an open phone policy, not because we checked on each other, but because we had nothing to hide, or so I'd thought. She started dressing differently too. More effort in her appearance. New lingerie that I never saw her wear around me. Perfume on random Tuesday afternoons. Gym membership she actually used, coming home flushed and energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. "I'm just trying to feel better about myself," she explained when I complimented her new look. "Is that okay?" "Of course," I said, hating how defensive she sounded. "You'd look great, but the real breaking point came 3 nights ago. We were sitting on the couch, supposedly watching a movie, but Rachel was on her phone as usual. I glanced over and saw her typing furiously, that familiar smirk on her face. The one that used to be reserved for me. "Who are you texting?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. She actually jumped, and angled the phone away. "Just Jenny. We're planning a girls' weekend." "Oh, yeah? Where? We haven't decided yet. Maybe wine country, or that spa resort in Ashwood Springs. Sounds fun. When?" "Next weekend, probably." She locked her phone and finally looked at me. "You don't mind, do you?" "I know it's short notice." "No, of course not." "You deserve a break." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Thanks, babe. You're the best." That night, after Rachel fell asleep, I did something I never thought I'd do. I picked up her phone from the nightstand, my heart hammering against my ribs. The screen lit up with a text notification. "Can't wait to see you this weekend. I've missed you so much." The sender was saved as Jenny M, but the message preview showed something else. Something that made my blood run cold. "I've booked us the suite at the Grandview Hotel again. Same room as last time." My hands were shaking as I set the phone down. I sat there in the darkness, listening to Rachel's peaceful breathing, and felt my entire world crumbling around me. The Grandview Hotel. I knew that place. It was a luxury boutique hotel downtown, the kind with expensive restaurants and rooftop bars. The kind of place you took someone when you wanted to impress them, not the kind of place you went for a girls' weekend. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there replaying every moment of the last 3 months, every excuse, every late night, every suspicious behavior I dismissed because I trusted her, because I loved her, because the thought of Rachel cheating on me seemed impossible. But now it wasn't impossible. It was probable. By morning, I'd made my decision. I needed proof. Hard evidence before I confronted her, before I blew up our marriage based on a text message I'd seen by invading her privacy. So I waited. Rachel came downstairs Friday morning humming to herself, already dressed in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater I'd never seen before. She looked beautiful, glowing, excited in a way that made my chest ache. "I'm heading out after work," she announced, pouring coffee into a travel mug. "Jenny and I are driving up tonight so we can have the full weekend. Where did you guys decide on?" "Ashwood Springs, that spa resort I mentioned." She didn't even hesitate with the lie. "I'll be back Sunday evening. Have fun," I managed to say. "You deserve it." She kissed me on the cheek, grabbed her overnight bag from by the door, packed and ready. I noticed and left. I waited exactly 5 minutes before I pulled up our phone records online. Rachel thought she was being careful, but she'd forgotten one thing. We had a shared cell phone plan, under my name. I could see every number she called or texted, even if I couldn't see the actual messages. There was one number that appeared constantly over the last 3 months. Dozens of calls, hundreds of texts, often late at night or during her work hours. I ran the number through a reverse lookup service. Marcus Dalton, age 34, a real estate developer who, according to his LinkedIn profile, had recently worked with Rachel's firm on a luxury condo marketing campaign. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I stared at his profile picture. Handsome, athletic, the kind of guy who wore expensive suits and drove German sports cars. Everything I wasn't. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Made it to the resort. Going to be offline most of the weekend. Love you." I texted back a heart emoji, my finger hovering over the send button. Then I opened a new browser window and searched for the Grandview Hotel's address. If Rachel wanted to play games, fine. But I was going to make damn sure I knew exactly what game we were playing, and I was going to win. Saturday morning, I woke up to an empty bed and a plan. I'd spent most of Friday night researching Marcus Dalton. His social media was public, a mistake on his part, and it painted a clear picture. Luxury cars, expensive watches, photos at high-end restaurants and exclusive clubs. He was divorced, no kids, and based on his posts, he clearly enjoyed the bachelor lifestyle. There were no pictures of Rachel. He was smart enough not to be that obvious. But there was a photo from 6 weeks ago at a restaurant I recognized, Aurelio's, an upscale Italian place downtown. The caption read, "Business dinner with an incredible view." I pulled up Rachel's Instagram from that same night. She'd posted a selfie in our bathroom with the caption, "Girls' Night with Jenny." Much needed stress relief. Except she was wearing the same emerald dress that appeared in the background reflection of Marcus's restaurant photo. My coffee went cold as I stared at the evidence on my screen. It was circumstantial, sure, but the pieces were forming a picture I could no longer ignore. I needed more than social media screenshots, though. I needed something undeniable. The Grandview Hotel's website showed their weekend rates, $350 a night for a standard room, up to $1,200 for their luxury suites. The kind of money that would show up on credit card statements. Our credit card statements. I logged into our joint account first, the one we used for household expenses and regular purchases. Nothing unusual there. Groceries, gas, utility bills. Rachel's typical shopping at Target and Nordstrom rack. Then I checked her personal credit card, the one she'd had since before we got married. We'd always kept separate personal accounts for our own discretionary spending, no questions asked. It was a trust thing, a way to maintain some independence. That trust was about to bite me hard. The statement loaded, and my stomach dropped. Charges at the Grandview Hotel. Not one. Not two, but 5 separate transactions over the past 3 months. Each one for the same amount, $1,200. The luxury suite. There were other charges too. Lingerie from boutiques I'd never heard of. Dinner at restaurants she'd never mentioned. A charge from something called Violet Hour Lounge. A quick search told me it was a cocktail bar inside the Grandview. She'd been living a double life, and I'd been too blind to see it. My hands were shaking as I screenshotted everything. Every hotel charge, every suspicious dinner, every piece of evidence. I uploaded them all to a secure cloud folder, then emailed copies to myself. I wasn't going to let her gaslight me or claim I was imagining things. The most recent hotel charge was from yesterday. Authorization pending for tonight and tomorrow night. She was there right now, with him. The rational part of my brain told me to wait, to consult a lawyer, to handle this like an adult. But the other part, the part that had just watched 12 years of marriage disintegrate, wanted to see her face when she realized I knew. I grabbed my keys. The drive downtown took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of my mind racing through scenarios, rehearsing confrontations, imagining what I'd find. Would they be in the restaurant? The bar? The room? The Grandview Hotel was everything its website promised. Elegant, discreet, the kind of place that catered to people having affairs. The lobby had dim lighting, plush furniture, and a pianist playing soft jazz in the corner. I walked up to the front desk, trying to look casual despite my heart pounding in my ears. "Good afternoon, sir." Checking in? The clerk was young, professional, wearing a name tag that read Trevor. "Actually, I'm meeting my wife. She checked in yesterday." "Rachel Hendricks?" Trevor's fingers flew across the keyboard, then his expression shifted slightly. "I'm sorry, sir, but I don't see a reservation under that name. Of course, she wouldn't use her real name. Try Rachel Dalton," I said. The name tasting like poison. His eyebrows rose slightly, but his professional mask stayed in place. "Ah, yes, Mrs. Dalton checked in yesterday evening. Suite 412. Would you like me to call up?" "No," I said quickly. "I want to surprise her." He hesitated. "I'm afraid I can't give you a key card without—" "I understand." I pulled out my phone and showed him the credit card statement, zooming in on the charge from the Grandview. "This is my wife's card. We're married. I have proof." I could see him weighing his options. Hotel policy versus a potentially messy domestic situation. "I'm not here to cause a scene," I added quietly. "I just need to talk to my wife." Something in my voice must have convinced him, because he nodded slowly. "Give me one moment." He disappeared into the back office, and I stood there in the lobby, feeling exposed. Other guests walked past, couples holding hands, business people with rolling luggage, everyone living their normal lives while mine fell apart. Trevor returned with a key card. "Suite 412, 4th floor. Sir, if there's any disturbance—" "There won't be." "Thank you." I took the elevator up, watching the floor numbers climb. My reflection in the polished doors looked like a stranger, jaw clenched, eyes hard, someone I didn't recognize. The hallway was quiet, plush carpet muffling my footsteps. Suite 412 was at the end, double doors with brass handles. I stood there for a long moment, key card in hand, listening. I could hear voices inside. Rachel's laugh, bright and carefree. A deeper voice, responding, masculine, followed by more laughter. They were having fun. While I was home alone, worrying, waiting, being the faithful husband, they were in there enjoying themselves. The anger that surged through me was cold and focused. I raised my hand to knock, then stopped. No, I had the key card. Why announce myself? Instead, I pressed the card to the reader. The lock clicked green. I pushed the door open. The suite was massive, living area with a full bar, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a glimpse of a bedroom through an open door. And there, on the leather couch, were Rachel and Marcus. They weren't doing anything overtly sexual. Not yet. Rachel was curled up against him, still dressed in jeans and a sweater, wine glass in hand. He had his arm around her shoulders, his other hand resting on her knee. They looked comfortable, intimate, like a real couple. Rachel saw me first. Her wine glass slipped from her fingers, red wine splashing across the white carpet. "Oh my God," she whispered, her face draining of color. Marcus looked up, confused, then followed her gaze to me, standing in the doorway. "Who the hell are you?" he started to say, but Rachel cut him off. "David." Her voice cracked on my name. "What are you? How did you find you?" I held up my phone, showing the credit card statement. "You mean how did I find you at the hotel you've been charging to your credit card? The one you visited 5 times in 3 months?" She stood up, swaying slightly. "David, please, this isn't what?" My voice was steady, cold. "Isn't what it looks like. Because it looks like my wife is spending the weekend in a $1,200 a night suite with another man while I'm at home, believing she's at a spa resort with Jenny." Marcus stood up too, holding his hands out. "Look, man, I think there's been some confusion." "Sit down," I told him, my eyes never leaving Rachel's face. "You're not part of this conversation." Rachel's shock was morphing into something else. Defense. Her chin lifted, and I saw a flash of the woman who'd been lying to me for months. "How dare you track me?" she said, her voice gaining strength. "Going through my credit cards, stalking me." "Stalking you?" I laughed, bitter and harsh. "We're married, Rachel. We have joint accounts. I have every right to know where our money is going." "My money," she shot back. "That's my personal card. You had no right to cheat on me." The words exploded out of me, louder than I intended. 12 years, Rachel. 12 years I've been faithful, supportive, everything you needed. And this is how you repay me." Tears were streaming down her face now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her like I'd done 1,000 times before. "You don't understand," she sobbed. "We grew apart. You're always working. We never talk anymore. I felt so alone. So you thought screwing some real estate developer in luxury hotel suites was the solution." I looked at Marcus, who had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Tell me, did she use the same lines on you? How special you make her feel. How her husband doesn't understand her." "David, please," Rachel begged, reaching for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me." I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. The suite. The wine glasses, Rachel and Marcus together, her mascara running, him looking guilty as hell. "What are you doing?" Rachel demanded. "Evidence," I said simply. "For the divorce lawyer." Her face went white. "Divorce?" "David, no, we can work through this." "Work through this?" I stared at her. "You've been having an affair for 3 months. You lied to my face, repeatedly. You're spending our savings on hotel rooms and fancy dinners with your boyfriend. What exactly is there to work through?" She collapsed back onto the couch, sobbing. Marcus awkwardly patted her shoulder, and the gesture made me want to punch him, but I didn't. I just stood there, documenting everything, feeling oddly calm now that the confrontation was happening. "I loved you," I said quietly. "I would have done anything for you. If you were unhappy, we could have gone to counseling, talked, figured it out together. But you chose this. You chose to destroy everything we built." Rachel looked up at me, mascara streaked and broken. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I said. So am I. I turned and walked out of the suite, leaving the door open behind me. I could hear Rachel calling my name, but I didn't stop. In the elevator, I finally let myself feel it. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the rage. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the lobby button, but underneath all that pain was something else. Relief. Because now I knew. Now I had proof. And now I could move forward, whatever that looked like. The hardest part was over, or so I thought. I made it to my car before the shaking got worse. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white as everything I'd been holding back crashed over me. The image of Rachel curled up against him, comfortable and laughing, burned behind my eyelids. How many times had they been together? How many lies had she told? My phone buzzed. Rachel calling, I declined it. It buzzed again immediately. Then again. Text messages started flooding in. Please come back. Let me explain. David, I'm begging you. Don't do this. It's not what you think. I can fix this. I turned the phone to silent and dropped it in the cup holder. There was nothing she could say that would change what I'd seen. Nothing that would erase the past 3 months of deception. I needed to think clearly, and I couldn't do that with her voice in my head. The drive home felt surreal. Everything looked the same. Same streets, same houses, same coffee shop on the corner where Rachel and I used to get lattes on Sunday mornings. But nothing was the same. My entire reality had shifted. When I pulled into our driveway, I sat there staring at the house we'd bought together 7 years ago. We'd painted the shutters blue because Rachel loved the color. We'd planted the maple tree in the front yard. We talked about kids playing in that yard someday. All of it felt like a museum now, a monument to something dead. Inside, the silence was deafening. I walked through rooms filled with our life together. Wedding photos on the mantel, vacation souvenirs on shelves, her coffee mug still sitting by the sink from yesterday morning. I picked up the mug, her favorite one with the stupid cat meme on it. And for a moment I wanted to smash it against the wall. Watch it shatter like everything else. Instead, I set it down carefully and pulled out my laptop. First call was to my brother, Tyler. He answered on the second ring, his voice groggy. Dude, it's Saturday morning. This better be good. Rachel's having an affair. Silence. Then what? I told him everything. The hotel, the credit card statements, the confrontation. My voice stayed steady, clinical, like I was reporting facts about someone else's life. Holy shit. Tyler breathed when I finished. Dave, I'm so sorry. What do you need? Lawyer recommendation. Best divorce attorney you know. Let me make some calls. I'll text you within an hour. He paused. You want me to come over? Not yet. I need to handle some things first. Okay, but Dave, don't do anything stupid. Document everything. Don't lose your cool. And for God's sake, don't leave the house. That's your property too. After we hung up, I started making a list. Everything I needed to do. In order of priority. 1. Secure all financial documents and statements. 2. Change passwords on all personal accounts. 3. Contact a lawyer. 4. Document everything. About the affair. 5. Protect myself legally and financially. Spent the next 3 hours in methodical mode. Gathering bank statements, investment records, property documents. I opened a new bank account at a different institution and transferred exactly half of our joint savings. Not $1 more. I wasn't going to give her ammunition to claim I was stealing from her. I changed every password I had. Email, social media, streaming services, even our smart home system. If Rachel came back, she'd find herself locked out of everything digital. My phone had 37 missed calls and 62 text messages, all from Rachel. I opened one at random. Please don't throw away our marriage over one mistake. I love you. I've always loved you. Marcus means nothing. One mistake. Like she'd accidentally tripped and fallen into bed with another man. Multiple times. Over 3 months, another text. I'm coming home. We need to talk about this like adults. That one made me laugh, bitter and sharp. Now she wanted to be adults about it. I texted back, don't. I need space. If you come home, I'm leaving and going to a hotel. Her response was immediate. That's my house, too. You can't kick me out? I'm not kicking you out. I'm asking for 24 hours to process this. If you can't give me that, it tells me everything I need to know about your priorities. She didn't respond to that. Tyler texted me a name and number. Vanessa Morgan, best family law attorney in the state. I called in a favor. She'll see you Monday morning, 9 a.m. Her office is on Parkside Avenue. I saved the contact information, then opened a new document on my laptop and started writing. Everything I could remember about the past 3 months. Dates, times, suspicious behavior, the hotel receipts, Marcus Dalton's information. I included screenshots of the credit card statements, the text message preview I'd seen on her phone, the photos from the hotel suite. It was almost therapeutic, turning my pain into organized data. Facts and evidence, instead of emotions and heartbreak. My phone rang again. Not Rachel this time, a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Hello, David? This is Marcus Dalton. His voice was cautious, apologetic. Please don't hang up. Every muscle in my body tensed. You've got 30 seconds. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know she was married when we first met. She wasn't wearing a ring. She never mentioned a husband, and I didn't bother to ask. I cut him off. Didn't you find it strange that she was always available during the week, but never on weekends? Didn't wonder why she used a fake name at the hotel? She told me she was separated, he said quietly. She said the divorce was almost final, that she was just waiting for paperwork. I swear, David, if I'd known the truth, you would have what? Walked away? Or would you have justified it anyway, because she was beautiful and available and telling you what you wanted to hear? He was silent. Let me tell you something about my wife, Marcus. She's a phenomenal liar. She looked me in the eye every single day and lied without flinching. So whatever she told you, whatever story she spun, I don't care. You were sleeping with a married woman, and you don't get to pretend you're some innocent victim here. You're right, he said. I just wanted you to know that it's over. I told her I can't see her anymore. What I did, was wrong. Congratulations on your moral awakening. Little late, but better than never, I guess. I hung up before he could respond. The rest of Saturday passed in a blur. I ordered takeout, couldn't eat it. Tried to watch TV, couldn't focus. Attempted to sleep, gave up after an hour of staring at the ceiling. Rachel sent a few more texts, increasingly desperate. Marcus told me he called you. Don't believe anything he says. He's just trying to save himself. I never meant to hurt you. I was confused and lonely, and I made terrible choices. Please, David, our marriage is worth fighting for. That last one made me turn off my phone completely. Sunday morning, I woke up on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mouth tasted like copper, my head pounded, and for one blissful second, I forgot why I felt so terrible. Then it all came rushing back. I forced myself through a shower and coffee, then sat down to finish my documentation. I added Marcus's phone call, time-stamped and detailed. Everything needed to be recorded. Around noon, Tyler showed up with groceries and 2 six-packs of beer. You look like hell, he said. Pushing past me into the kitchen, feel worse. He started unpacking food, sandwich stuff, chips, frozen pizzas. Comfort food. Have you eaten? Can't remember. That's what I thought. He made 2 sandwiches, slid one across the counter to me. Eat, then we talk. I managed half the sandwich before my stomach rebelled. Tyler polished off his and started on mine. So, he said, game plan. You're seeing Vanessa tomorrow. She's going to walk you through the divorce process, asset division, all that fun stuff. You need to be prepared for Rachel to fight dirty. She won't, I said automatically. Then I stopped. Actually, I have no idea what she'll do anymore. Exactly. You're about to see a side of her you've never seen. When money and property are on the line, people get vicious. He leaned back against the counter. How are you holding up? Emotionally, I mean. I don't know. It was the truth. I'm angry, hurt, but also relieved. Like at least now I know. At least I'm not going crazy wondering why she's been acting strange. That's normal. The grief will come in waves. Some days you'll be fine. Some days you'll want to burn her stuff in the backyard. Speaking from experience. Tyler's divorce 3 years ago had been brutal. His ex-wife had cleaned out their joint account and moved her boyfriend into their house while Tyler was on a business trip. Unfortunately, yes. Which is why I'm telling you, protect yourself now. Secure everything. Don't let guilt or nostalgia make you vulnerable. We spent the afternoon going through the house, making a list of major assets. The furniture we'd bought together, electronics, appliances, even the art on the walls. Everything would need to be divided or valued. What about the house? Tyler asked. I looked around at the home we'd made together. She can have it. I don't want to live here anymore. Dave, this place is worth 400 grand easy. You're entitled to half. Then we'll sell it and split the proceeds. But I'm not staying here. Every room held memories I didn't want anymore. I can't wake up in the bed we shared and not think about where she really was all those nights she claimed to be working late. Tyler nodded. Understandable. We'll put it on the market once the divorce is filed. My phone, which I'd finally turned back on, buzzed with a new message. Rachel again. I'm coming home tomorrow evening. We need to have a serious conversation about our future. I hope you've calmed down enough to be rational. I showed the text to Tyler. His eyebrows shot up. The audacity, he muttered. She's acting like you're the one being unreasonable. Should I change the locks? Talk to Vanessa first. You don't want to do anything that could be used against you in court. He grabbed his keys. I should head out. Let me know how tomorrow's meeting goes. And Dave, you're going to get through this. I promise. After he left, I sat in the quiet house and finally let myself think about the future. What did life look like without Rachel? We'd been together since I was 26. She'd been my entire adult life. The thought was terrifying and liberating in equal measure. I pulled up apartment listings on my laptop just to see what was out there. Maybe a fresh start was exactly what I needed. My phone buzzed one more time. Another text from Rachel. I love you. I know you don't believe that right now, but I do. I always have. Please don't give up on us. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, love isn't enough when trust is gone. See you tomorrow. It was time to start my new life, even if I had no idea what that life would look like. Monday. Morning arrived with grey skies and a cold rain that matched my mood. Perfectly, I dressed carefully, navy suit, white shirt, conservative tie. Vanessa Morgan's office was in a sleek building downtown. All glass and steel, the kind of place that screamed expensive legal expertise, which was exactly what I needed. The receptionist directed me to a conference room on the 14th floor. Vanessa was already there, reviewing documents. She looked up as I entered, sharp eyes, perfectly styled grey hair, an expression that said she'd seen every variation of this story before. David Hendricks? She stood and extended her hand. Her grip was firm, professional. Vanessa Morgan, please sit. I settled into the leather chair across from her, suddenly aware of how exhausted I looked. I'd barely slept in 3 days. Before we begin, Vanessa said, opening her laptop, I want you to understand what you're facing. Divorce is rarely pleasant, even when both parties are cooperative. When there's infidelity involved, it can get ugly fast. My job is to protect your interests and make sure you come out of this in the best position possible. Is that what you want? Yes, good. Now walk me through everything. Start from when you first suspected something was wrong. I spent the next hour recounting the whole story. Vanessa took notes, occasionally interrupting to ask for specific dates or details. She didn't react when I described finding Rachel at the hotel, didn't show sympathy or judgment. Just clinical, focused attention. When I finished, she sat back. You've done well documenting everything. The credit card statements, the photos, the timeline, all of this strengthens your position considerably. What happens next? We filed for divorce on grounds of adultery. In this state, proven infidelity can affect asset division and potentially spousal support, though we'll need to discuss your financial situation in detail. She pulled up a form on her laptop. You mentioned the house is jointly owned. Yes, I'm willing to let her have it, or we can sell and split the proceeds. I don't care either way. Let's think strategically. The house is worth approximately $400,000, you said, with about $180,000 left on the mortgage. That's $220,000 in equity. You're entitled to half. She continued outlining the process, filing paperwork, mandatory waiting periods, discovery, potential mediation. My head spun with legal terminology and procedures. How long does this usually take? I asked, with cooperation from both parties. 6 to 8 months minimum. If she contests or things get contentious, we could be looking at a year or more. A year. A year of lawyers and negotiations and facing Rachel across conference tables. I should mention, Vanessa said, your wife will likely hire her own attorney once she's served with papers. They'll advise her to paint you in the worst possible light, claim you were emotionally distant, negligent, perhaps even abusive. It's a standard strategy. I never touched her, I said quickly. I believe you, but be prepared for accusations anyway. Document all interactions from here on out. Save every text, every email, every voicemail. If you meet in person, consider having a witness present. She handed me a business card. This is a therapist who specializes in divorce trauma. I strongly recommend you make an appointment. This process will test you mentally and emotionally. I pocketed the card, though I wasn't sure I'd use it. One more thing, Vanessa said. When does your wife plan to return home? Tonight, she said. I need you to remain calm during that conversation. Do not engage in arguments, do not admit fault, and absolutely do not move out of the house. If she asks you to leave, refuse politely. That's your home too. I nodded, feeling the weight of what was coming. We'll file the papers this week. She'll be served by Friday at the latest. Until then, interact as little as possible. Vanessa closed her laptop. Any questions? Yeah, will I survive this? For the first time, her professional mask cracked slightly. A hint of warmth entered her voice. You will. I've guided hundreds of people through this process. It's hell, but you come out the other side. Different maybe, but intact. I left her office feeling simultaneously prepared and terrified. The afternoon crawled by. I tried to work remotely. I'd called in sick to Thornton Industries, claiming a stomach bug, but couldn't focus. Every email felt trivial compared to what I was dealing with. At 5 o'clock, I heard a car in the driveway. Rachel was home. I stood in the kitchen, gripping the counter, as the front door opened. She appeared in the doorway, overnight bag in hand, and for a moment we just stared at each other. She looked terrible, eyes red and swollen, hair pulled back messily, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie instead of her usual put-together appearance. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 12 years, wanted to comfort her. The rest of me remembered why she looked that way. Hi, she said quietly, setting her bag down. Rachel. She moved into the kitchen cautiously, like approaching a wild animal. Can we talk? That's why you're here, isn't it? She flinched at my tone. David, please. I know you're angry. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. I understand. You have every right to be furious with me. She pulled out a chair and sat down at our kitchen table. But we need to discuss what happens next. I remained standing, keeping the counter between us. I've already discussed it. With my divorce attorney this morning. Her face went pale. Divorce attorney? David, no. What did you expect, Rachel? That I'd just forgive and forget? That we'd go to a few marriage counseling sessions and pretend you didn't spend 3 months sleeping with another man? It wasn't like that, she insisted, tears starting to flow. Marcus and I, it wasn't physical until recently, I swear. Oh, well, that makes it so much better. You were only emotionally cheating for most of it. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed harshly. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you lied to me every single day? When you used our money to pay for hotel rooms? When you looked me in the eye and told me you loved me while planning your next meeting with him? She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. I made a mistake. A horrible, terrible mistake. But our marriage, everything we built together, that's real. That matters. It mattered to me too. Past tense? Rachel looked up, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Don't do this, please. We can fix this if you'll just give me a chance. I gave you 12 years of chances. You threw them away. I was lonely. She burst out. You were always at work, always focused on your career, and I felt invisible. When Marcus paid attention to me, made me feel special, I got caught up in it. So this is my fault? My voice was dangerously quiet. You cheated because I worked too much? No, that's not what I meant. Because I worked to support us, to save for our future, to give us the life you wanted in this house, in this neighborhood. I know, she whispered. I know you did everything right. That's what makes this so much worse. You were a good husband and I destroyed everything anyway. At least she was finally being honest. Why him? I asked, the question that had been eating at me. Why Marcus? She wiped her eyes. He was exciting, different. He made me feel young again, like I was still someone desirable and interesting, not just someone's wife. You are someone's wife. You made vows, I know, and I broke them. She reached across the table toward me, but I didn't move. But David, people make mistakes. People recover from this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. The papers will be filed this week, I said, cutting her off. You'll be served by Friday. My attorney will be in contact with yours regarding asset division. Rachel's face crumpled. You've already made up your mind. You won't even consider trying to save our marriage. There's nothing left to save. That's not true. We have history. We have nothing, I said firmly. History doesn't matter when trust is gone. And I will never trust you again, Rachel. Every time you're late coming home, every time your phone buzzes, every time you say you're with friends, I'll wonder if you're lying. That's no way to live. She stood up, anger finally breaking through the tears. So that's it? 12 years and you just throw it all away? I'm not the one who threw it away. You did that when you decided Marcus was worth more than our marriage. It's over with Marcus. I told you that. He won't even speak to me now. Good for him. He's smarter than I gave him credit for. God, you're being so cold. Rachel's voice rose. Where's the man I married? The one who was kind and understanding? He died the moment I walked into that hotel suite. We stood there in our kitchen, two people who'd once promised forever. Now on opposite sides of an unbridgeable divide. I need some things from the bedroom, she said finally. I'll be staying with my sister for a while. Take whatever you need. Just document what you take. She stared at me. You really think I'd steal from you? I don't know what you're capable of anymore. That seemed to hurt her more than anything else I'd said. She turned and walked upstairs without another word. I heard her moving around in our bedroom, drawers opening and closing. Part of me wanted to follow her, to watch and make sure she wasn't taking things that weren't hers. But I stayed in the kitchen, forcing myself to trust that Vanessa's advice would protect me. 20 minutes later, Rachel came back down with a suitcase and 2 bags. She paused at the door. I really am sorry, David, for what it's worth. It's worth nothing, she nodded, tears flowing again, and left. I watched through the window as she loaded her car and drove away. Only when her taillights disappeared around the corner did I finally let myself feel it, the finality of it. My marriage was over. I sank into a chair at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten countless meals, played board games, discussed our days, where I'd proposed to her over a home-cooked dinner, nervous and excited. All those memories felt tainted now, poisoned by what she'd done. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. How'd the meeting go? I typed back, papers being filed this week. Rachel came by and left. It's really over. Want company? Not tonight. Need to process. Okay, but call if you change your mind. Anytime. I set my phone down and sat in the empty house, listening to the silence. This was my life now. Quiet, solitary. Starting over at 38. Tomorrow I'd start looking for apartments. Tomorrow I'd tell my boss I needed some personal time. Tomorrow I'd figure out how to move forward. But tonight I let myself grieve for everything I'd lost. Not just my wife, but the future we'd planned. The children we'd talked about. The growing old together. All of it gone. I didn't cry. The tears wouldn't come. Instead, I felt hollow, empty. Like someone had scooped out my insides and left nothing but a shell. This was rock bottom. But at least I knew things could only get better from here. Or so I hoped. 3 months later, I stood in my new apartment, boxes still half unpacked, and realized I was smiling. It wasn't a big smile, nothing dramatic, Just a quiet contentment as I arranged books on a shelf, my books in my space, without having to negotiate where things should go or worry about someone else's opinion. The divorce wasn't finalized yet. Vanessa had warned me it would take time, and she was right. Rachel had hired a shark of an attorney who tried every tactic in the book, claiming I was emotionally abusive, demanding I pay her legal fees, even attempting to get spousal support despite her affair. None of it worked. The evidence I'd collected was ironclad. 5 hotel receipts, dozens of incriminating text messages Rachel had forgotten to delete from our phone records, and Marcus's signed affidavit admitting to the affair. Vanessa had methodically dismantled every argument Rachel's lawyer threw at us. The house sold faster than expected. A bidding war pushed the final price to $430,000. After paying off the mortgage and realtor fees, I walked away with $115,000. Enough for a fresh start and then some. I'd found this apartment in a neighborhood across town, deliberately far from anywhere Rachel and I had spent time together. 1 bedroom, 10th floor with a view of the river. It was smaller than the house, more expensive per square foot, but it was mine alone. My phone buzzed. "Tyler calling. Hey, you still on for tonight?" he asked. "Yeah, what time?" 7 Connolly's Pub. And Dave? Bring your A game. Sarah's bringing her friend Katie, and apparently she's exactly your type. I groaned. "Tyler, I told you I'm not ready to date yet. It's been 3 months. You don't have to marry her, just have a conversation with another human being who isn't your divorce attorney. I have conversations. I talk to people at work about engineering specs and project timelines. That doesn't count." His voice softened. "Look, I'm not saying you need to jump into anything. But sitting alone in your apartment every night isn't healthy either. Just come out, have a few beers, talk to some people. If you're miserable, you can leave." He had a point. I'd been so focused on getting through the divorce that I'd put my entire social life on hold. "Fine, but I'm not staying past 9. Deal." After we hung up, I looked around my apartment. It was sparse. I'd only taken the essentials from the house, leaving Rachel most of the furniture we'd accumulated over the years. My new couch was from IKEA, assembled by myself with only minimal cursing. My dishes were mismatched sets from Target. Everything was temporary, transitional, waiting for me to figure out who I was. Now, the person I'd been with Rachel felt like a stranger. That guy had been comfortable, settled, maybe a little complacent. This version of me was rawer, more uncertain, but also more awake. I noticed things now, the way morning light hit the river, the taste of coffee I actually chose instead of whatever was on sale, the freedom of deciding what to do with my evening without checking with anyone first. It wasn't all positive. Some nights the silence was crushing. I'd reach for my phone to text Rachel about something funny I'd seen, then remember she wasn't part of my life anymore. The ghost of our routine haunted me. Sunday morning lattes, Thursday night takeout, the way she'd curl up against me while watching movies. But those moments were getting fewer, and the good days were starting to outnumber the bad. Work had been a lifeline. My boss, after I'd explained the situation in vague terms, had given me a high-profile project that demanded my full attention. Designing a new hydraulic system for industrial equipment wasn't glamorous, but it kept my mind occupied. My colleagues had noticed I was going through something, but respected my privacy enough not to pry. I checked my watch. 5:30, enough time for a shower and something. To eat before meeting Tyler. As I stood under the hot water, I thought about the past few months. The initial shock had faded into a dull ache, then gradually into something like acceptance. I'd done the therapy Vanessa recommended, Dr. Patricia Chen, who had a no-nonsense approach that suited me perfectly. "Betrayal rewires your brain," she'd explained in our first session. "Your sense of reality has been shattered. Healing isn't linear, and it takes longer than you think it should. Be patient with yourself." I'd been skeptical at first, but after a few sessions, I understood what she meant. Some days I felt fine, energized even. Other days, a song on the radio or a familiar smell would send me spiraling. Learning to ride those waves without drowning was the work. At 6:45, I locked my apartment and headed to Connolly's Pub. It was a local spot Tyler frequented, with dark wood paneling and the comfortable atmosphere of a place that had been around forever. Tyler waved from a booth near the back. A woman with auburn hair sat next to him, Sarah, his girlfriend of 8 months. And across from them was another woman, blonde, probably around my age, with an easy smile. Dave. Perfect timing. Tyler stood and clapped me on the shoulder. "This is Katie. Katie, my brother Dave. Nice to meet you," Katie said, extending her hand. Her grip was firm, confident. "Tyler's told me a lot about you. Only the good stuff, I hope. Mostly." Her eyes sparkled with humor. "Though he did mention you're in the middle of a divorce, so fair warning. I know you've got baggage." I appreciated the directness. "Is that going to be a problem?" "Everyone's got baggage by our age. Mine's just different than yours." She gestured to the empty seat. "Sit. First round's on Tyler since he orchestrated this whole thing." The evening was easier than I'd expected. Katie was a graphic designer who ran her own small firm, divorced herself 3 years ago, and had a sharp wit that kept the conversation flowing. We talked about everything except our failed marriages, work, favorite books, the best hiking trails in the area, our shared hatred of pineapple on pizza. I caught myself laughing, really laughing for the first time in months. Around 8:30, Sarah and Tyler excused themselves to play darts, leaving Katie and me alone at the booth. "So," she said, swirling her beer, "how are you really doing?" "Honestly, better than I expected. Worse than I hoped," she nodded. "That sounds about right. When I got divorced, I thought I'd never trust anyone again. Took me 2 years before I even considered dating. How'd you know you were ready? I woke up one morning and realized I'd gone 3 whole days without thinking about my ex. That's when I knew he didn't own my headspace anymore." She studied me. "You're not there yet. That's okay, but you're getting there. I can tell." "How?" "You're here. You're engaging. You smiled at least a dozen times tonight. Those are good signs." We exchanged numbers before leaving, with the understanding that we'd grab coffee sometime as friends. No pressure, no expectations. Just 2 people who understood what it meant to rebuild after betrayal. Driving home, I felt lighter than I had in months. Maybe Tyler was right. Maybe I needed to start letting people back into my life. Bit by bit, my phone buzzed at a red light. A text from an unknown number. "Hi, David. This is Rachel. I'm using a new phone. Can we talk?" My first instinct was to delete it, but curiosity got the better of me. "What about?" Her response came quickly. "I signed the final papers today. My lawyer said we should be done within a few weeks. I just wanted to say, I hope you find happiness. You deserve it. And I'm sorry I wasn't the person you needed me to be." I stared at the message for a long moment. Part of me wanted to send something cutting, to remind her of exactly what she'd done. But I was tired of carrying that anger. Instead, I typed, "Thank you. I hope you figure out what you're looking for, too. Goodbye, Rachel." I deleted her contact information and blocked the number. That chapter was closed. Back at my apartment, I stood at the window looking out at the city lights, reflecting off the river. Somewhere out there, Rachel was starting her own new life. Marcus had probably moved on to someone else. The world kept turning, indifferent to our personal dramas, but I was still here. Bruised, changed, but still standing. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Katie. "Thanks for tonight. It was nice meeting someone who gets it. Coffee next week?" I smiled and typed back, "Sounds good." I wasn't ready for anything serious. Maybe I wouldn't be for a long time, but I was ready to start living again, to build something new from the rubble of what I'd lost. The future was uncertain, unwritten, a little scary, but it was mine. And for the first time since I'd walked into that hotel suite 3 months ago, I felt something I hadn't expected to feel again: hope. I pulled out my laptop and opened a new document. Dr. Chen had suggested journaling, and I'd been resistant. But tonight, words flowed easily. 3 months ago, I thought my life was over. I thought the betrayal would destroy me, that I'd never recover from the lies and the loss. But here's what I've learned. You're stronger than you think. The pain that feels unbearable today becomes bearable tomorrow. And the person you thought you'd be forever isn't who you're meant to be at all. I'm not grateful for what Rachel did. I wouldn't wish this kind of heartbreak on anyone, but I am grateful for what I've discovered about myself, that I can survive the worst and come out the other side, that I have people who love me enough to show up when I'm broken, that endings, as painful as they are, make room for new beginnings. I don't know what comes next. Maybe I'll fall in love again someday. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll stay in this apartment or move across the country. Maybe I'll change careers or take up a new hobby or adopt a dog. The beauty of starting over is that anything is possible. The man I was would have been terrified of that uncertainty. But the man I'm becoming? He's ready for whatever comes next, because I survived the worst. Everything else is just living. I saved the document and closed my laptop. Tomorrow, I'd wake up in my apartment, go to work, maybe text Katie about that coffee. I'd continue building this new life, piece by piece, day by day. The divorce would be final soon. The house was sold. The evidence was filed away. The anger was fading. All that was left was moving forward, and I was finally ready to do exactly that. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.